Warning: the following podcast contains true stories from two dudes that suffer from multiple TBIs and other mental issues. Some of the content will not make any sense. Listener's discretion is advised. Especially if your name is Randy. We hate you.
You will behave, Gregory. We are live. And we are pretty amped right now, but actually this is not a full episode of Normal Shenanigans. This is a Mindful Minutes segment with yours truly, Cab, and...
Paul.
No, you are not Paul. We talked over this before we started. You are Gregory.
I'm Greg.
There you go.
The Supreme Leader has spoken. I'm Greg.
As you guys are aware, Greg's currently navigating a very difficult chapter in his life, and I'm gonna stop talking on his behalf and let him introduce today's topic.
Nah, it ain't shit, son. You know why? Resiliency.
That's right. R is for resiliency, and who better than Greg to talk about that topic today, or at least start us off?
Yeah, I can start us off. So,
yeah,
this is something you and I discussed yesterday, and kind of came up with like hey, we should probably talk about it.
Yeah,
because it's not something that's talked about very often.
No,
some circles it is, but others out there, mainly your mainstream areas, I don't know. It's a preventative measure going down some dark holes and dark paths, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, the best way that we've described it in the past is it's the ability to bounce back.
Yep.
Right.
Being able to bend but not break.
Correct. So, in this sense, the bend not break is probably the best way, because for me, it's not so much a bounce back. It's just not getting myself to that point where I feel like I need to bounce back, right? It's it's staying on the bounce.
Yeah.
Yes. So my wife, suffered a stroke due to a brain bleed. She is paralyzed on the left side of her body. Her memory's not the best, though she does remember that we are married, so that's a plus. But no, she big steps today, right? Like we weren't planning on having this happen today, but just kind of that step by step. Everything is it's not going to be the fastest turnaround, but she's now moved from the hospital to a rehabilitation center where she can start learning how to walk and talk and hopefully do some exercises that'll help with her memory, and she will improve cognitively and physically over time.
Yeah.
But kind of big steps today, but the big thing is being the guy that I am, the lifestyle that I had, which was traveling 500 miles away for 10 days plus at a time, come back for a few days and then get right back to it. That whole lifestyle and everything I have or had is over, right? There's no way I can ever go back to that now. So this is a massive life-changing event, and I have done better mentally through this whole event than I have in recent memory. So shit like this is it has brought new motivation, shit that I didn't realize I still had. It's there. Surprise. But yeah, have not found myself getting depressed. no sob stories, no pity parties, nothing like that, which is fine. Sometimes you got to let it out and, have yourself a good one off on, oh, woe is me. It happens. But no, I literally can only contribute this to the, resiliency training that I've received in the past. Um, it is, as we've talked about, it's that ability to, adapt to your surroundings and no matter what the new situation is, and kind of come up with resolutions, or at least, and it may not be a full resolution, but just little problems, right? Tackling little things one day at a time. And yeah, so shit sucks.
Yeah, it does. And
It's not the
and
end.
the cool thing about going through resiliency training is understanding that it's not it's not just beneficial for the big and altering moments. It's for the everyday occurrences. Your sales pitch to the boss didn't go right. You didn't get the promotion you wanted. All those things can affect all of us so differently and can spiral. It can quickly spiral, take us in a downward spiral, and put us in that depression and then that horrible anxiety pit of your stomach feeling.
Oh yeah.
But by practicing resiliency and setting up uh, those steps to strengthen yourself, you can better prepare for any sort of catastrophe in your life, any sort of altering moment, because you realize that, hey, it's life's about waves, man. You're riding them high real good one day, and then some are going to crash down. You're going to have to pick yourself back up and realize that, hey, I'm going to be back on top in no time. But some of the things that we can do to become more resilient is striving to work on certain areas of our life. For example, relationships, not just your close friends and family that you interact with every day, but really working to develop a big, robust network of support. For example, your church group, or if you go to the community support group, that's your network that you're going to rely on when things aren't going great. And if you've already developed that strong bond with lots of people that you can reach out to, your best friend, like, that's a great thing. Like, when you were going through this, Greg, you weren't alone. You had Paul, myself, you had people to lean on. And that's,
I mean, I didn't even know fully what had happened, and I was on the phone with you.
yeah. Then instantly you're not by yourself. You're not fighting this situation or lost in this pit of pain and agony by yourself. You got support there.
Yeah, probably kept me from going all Denzel Washington on that hospital.
and that's the beauty of those a small, constantly developing and growing friendship. It's like, you can reach out to those people and they're going to be there for you in that moment of need. And the more you work on that, the more you develop that, the stronger you get, the better it's going to be for you when you do need to access that.
And I will say that as far as with resiliency training, I mean, it is the best way to put it. This is for you, right? What you train yourself to recover from, or how you see things, your perspective on life and situations. One thing that I will say is that it's going to be exceptionally personal to you. Like I'm still working, right? And that, to me, is part of this process of maintaining some semblance of my old lifestyle, where I'm going to stay busy, I'm going to keep at it, and at the same time, the massive benefit from that is that I still have insurance.
Yeah.
Whereas everybody else is just completely sidestruck, just doesn't understand why I haven't stopped one day. I yes, there were a couple days where I was not worth shit to anybody, and they knew that. Um, but yeah, this isn't. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. It's like, do this for yourself. I
Yeah.
guess the best way to put it is this is for you to tackle situations. Now, I can't expect this to happen to somebody else in their life, and the resiliency training that I have received, and my mindset and how I adapt to these situations, I can't just force somebody else to do it, right? I can't make them see it the way I see it. So it's a good tool for self-care. It is a
Yeah.
massive tool to help take care of yourself.
Yeah. And it's all based on a lot of simple principles that
Snake oil and malarkey.
exactly. Pour all this snake oil all over you twice a day, and you will be very resilient. No,
This vial of resiliency. It's on our website.
But yeah, doing the other thing, one of the other parts of it is goal setting and like things like finding your purpose, understanding your purpose, and having goals and achievable goals. And the reason why that's important is when you're facing those negative moments in life, being able to reflect back on what your purpose and what your goals are, and finding and identifying your why, like that's a big factor. Because when you get knocked down and you face adversity, you're like, okay, this is a minor inconvenience, and it's not going to deter me from reaching my goal or continuing on my path, because this is my purpose in life. This is what I want to do. And people that have that identified, people that have constantly or have made themselves to set those constant goals and continue achieving for more, those are the people that are able to bounce back a lot quicker because they have something on the horizon that they're working towards. I've seen that in my own life. I know I've had that 25-meter target and that 50-meter target, and something comes in and says, hey, guess what? Now you have a broken ankle. What are you going to do? It's like, well, okay, I got to heal. I can't do anything about it right now. But in the long run, I'm still going to be working towards that goal. Like that's still there.
My ankle's fine, Sarge. It's not broken.
Just got to tape that motherfucker and keep walking another 15, 20 miles top. But
I will say that establishing your priorities now sets a good foundation, because I finally got to do this one thing that I've been preaching. I got to practice what I preached. I have told my wife countless times that she is my priority, that these kids are my priority, and that my family is everything to me. Right? So I had already had that predetermined and established in my mind that is my goal. Right?
Yeah.
So yes, your goal might be to take care of your family, but you need to, and this is where the resiliency, the adapting thing comes into play, that now I have to completely change my lifestyle on how I actually support my family. And that was one of the big things. Like the way I did it before was just working a job, right? Now it's going to be working a job, taking care of my wife, and being there for my kids every single day. It's not something that, God, it sounds horrible. It's not something that I'm used to, even as a dad, but it's good to have a good foundation on what your priorities are, and it really helps define those goals.
Exactly. And another one that I thought for a long time was just not practical, but when I went to my treatment center, I started doing a lot more, was journaling. Maintaining a journal it's a lot more than the idea of like, dear diary, this is what I was doing, and Jimmy Fallon is so dreamy. No, it's allowing you to reflect on all the good that you have, and you're keeping track of the positive in your life. And then in times of stress and hardship and adversity, you have something concrete that you can go back and reflect on and be like, oh, how did I overcome all that shit I went through last year? Well, let me go back in June and look at my mindset. Look what I was writing. Look where I was at. That's a huge indicator of how you accomplish and overcome things. And not only that, it allows you to focus on the positive. And I know it's not easy to, at the end of the day, sit down and just regurgitate everything you did, but make an effort. Make an effort for 2 weeks to keep track of what you're doing and challenge yourself. It's going to be more beneficial than you can imagine. And
I will.
it's a
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, it's a great thing that, like I said, I was introduced to it and I was skeptical, but I challenged myself and having my little tablet and keeping track of at least a small paragraph of what I did. And it feels good because I have a metric. I like, hey, I actually knocked out a lot today. And if you challenge yourself to be like your top 5 good best moments of the day and your top 5 worst or top 3, like, hey, like I was a jerk today to friggin' Joey from the office, but tomorrow I'm gonna go in early, bring him coffee, and apologize. It makes you accountable for your own actions. And also, if you have a problem like I once had of focusing too much on the negative, forcing yourself to focus on the positive, that's working towards having a stronger sense of accountability and working on resiliency. Like, okay, like I'm not living a life that is full of doom and gloom. I'm doing great and I actually have a really damn good life. Like focusing on the positives is great, and that's going to help you so much when you face adversity.
Yeah, that's one thing that I was going to kind of say is you know, and it doesn't have to be at the end of the day. Sometimes you might be like maybe a couple guys that are talking on this podcast right now where you don't remember all the finer details at the end of the day. So you can actually go through my professional books that I take my notes in, right? And I can literally open up to any page and I will see notes to myself.
Yeah.
You know, like, and it's sometimes it's just shit to motivate yourself and try to make you feel a little bit better if you're not feeling like, you know, that you're loving yourself. I've written down numerous times on numerous pages, love yourself, homie. You know, don't let this and write down whatever the problem is get you down. Like, this is temporary. You know, move forward. I motivate myself through stupid ass little notes that are not stupid. You know, it's a twist. Yeah, and that's the big thing is it doesn't have to be a Dear Diary. It doesn't have to be at the end of the day. It doesn't have to be at the beginning of the day where you list out all your goals and because one thing I've noticed is when I write down my list of everything I want to do that day, sometimes you bite off more than you can chew.
Exactly.
And it almost sets you up mentally for failure.
Oh, big time. I struggle with that too.
Oh, yeah. You know, and it's one of those things like write down a few items that you know you're going to accomplish, you know, and then you kind of race for time, right? How quickly can I knock these tasks out? You know, and then you can kind of judge where you're at and you can add tasks to it, you know, or don't be afraid to take tasks away. But yes, writing down and reflecting on your day and just reflecting on events as they happen. You know, having something like I use OneNote like a son of a bitch. You know, that is my journal now. I've gone full digital.
Nice.
You know, but yeah, you know, I've got hundreds and hundreds of notes on here, and you can go about just about every single one of them has stuff that I probably don't want my company to see. You know, like there's a lot.
That's why I use an Etch-a-Sketch. It's really convenient for notes.
I tried the Light Bright, but I just don't have enough time. No, journaling is a beautiful tool, and it doesn't have to be, you know, writing 5 pages a day of just, you know, like one thing that I got from you, right, was every morning and you didn't tell me to do this. Like you remember the feelings wheel, right?
Yes. I love the feelings wheel.
So I would take that and just whenever I was getting overwhelmed, or even if I was having a good morning, no matter what, like right before my morning meetings, like I would write down how I was feeling, at that time, right? It's 7:55 in the morning. I'm feeling some anxiety, but I'm, kind of feeling some good feelings, right? Like I'm
Mhm.
laughing, I feel happy with this, and I would go through and try to identify how I felt, and at the end of the day I'd do the same thing. I would try to find that time, where shit might not be too crazy and I could sit down and just be like, fuck man, how do I feel right now? And that was something that, it's not hardcore journaling, it's not writing down all my problems, it's just simply identifying how I feel. you
Yeah.
know it's good shit.
It's
Good shit.
amazing shit.
Yeah.
And that goes right in hand with self-care. And
100%.
it's more than just dropping a bath bomb and soaking in the tub. Self-care is
Those work.
I don't know, I want to try one. But I
I
don't have
tried
the
one in the shower. It didn't work out well.
time. I got scared.
my my feet got sticky.
Self care is also about not just the outside and taking care of going to the gym, taking care of your physical health, but also your emotional well being. Understanding who you are and what you need emotionally. Like people will crush the gym, and we see it every New Year's. Everybody always has the same resolution. I'm going to get fit. I'm going to get in shape. But no one ever says, I'm going to look at how I view my emotions and really make sure they're healthy. Like I know
This
tons of
this year,
people.
I'm gonna be a happier person.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that when you bring up the word emotions, it's like, well, I don't have emotions. I don't cry. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with crying. There's nothing wrong with feeling. Understanding that you're an emotional being. And it's okay to say things like, wow, Greg, I love you. I'm beyond thrilled that I get to do this podcast with you. And you're a huge part of my life. And honestly, I don't ever want to know what it'd be like to not have you in my life. And I love you. And I cherish our friendship. To a lot of people,
Is that part of the
that's
show, or do you mean it?
no, I mean it. I mean it 100% with all my heart. We've been friends since, God, we were in our 20s. And like, honestly, like, you're a
It's been
huge
over
part of
10
my life.
years.
Yeah.
It's been over a
Like,
decade.
yeah. And saying and expressing those things is completely healthy. You know what's not healthy
So the chief
is
here was an abusive sergeant. He stole my Star Wars trivia book. He fucking stole my book.
I'm sorry. We all make mistakes. I don't know where the
And he,
book is.
and then he fucking lost it.
I'm a horrible friend at times, but I can admit
That's
it.
actually where our friendship started.
Oh, oh, you have to
I
be
love you,
able to.
man.
I love
I
you.
love
You gotta, and that's something that right now, if you're listening to this and you feel some type of way about crying or sharing your emotion or feelings, challenge yourself to open up. I know guys that can't even look at their family, their wives and loved ones, and express deep, meaningful like love and emotion. That's like the gym. That's like going to the gym. You got to be able to work on that. So, like I
I
said,
I have to admit that is me to a point.
yeah,
I have a
use the feeling
real
wheel.
I have a real problem expressing that emotion and
Yeah.
expressing how I feel with my wife and kids. And this, you know, traumatic event
Hmm.
has really helped kind of open things up like that, right? So there's
Yeah.
positives to every negative, right? They come in pairs.
Silver
Silver
lining to
lining,
every cloud.
silver lining.
Indeed.
So,
But like,
and that's hell. My daughter and I have become way closer through this.
yeah.
We've leaned on each other a lot throughout this process, and for the first fucking time ever, she actually saw me at least get teary eyed. I didn't
Yeah.
let her see me cry. I didn't let her see me
It's
cry.
okay.
No,
Crying is okay. It's normal. One of the
Bro,
healthiest.
I've cried on the phone with you. You know
I
that.
know. Just for everybody listening out there, it's one of the most common things I hear from a lot of my close friends and people that I know. Like, I can't cry, I can't express that, and it's okay. We
Well,
grew up. Yeah.
I can say this as a homie to the other homies. I know we we get shit on for showing that emotion.
Yeah.
Some in some form or fashion, it has been instilled in every male. And I'm not counting out females on this. I know there's some that have, gone through similar upbringings, but
Oh yeah.
society itself tells you that you're fucking weak if you cry. If you show this emotion, you're weak. And fuck that. Be weak. Be weak. Bro, it felt so good to let some of those emotions out. And I mean, like, honestly, the last time that I had a really good cry is when Tori and I lost our son,
Mm-hmm.
right? That was 8 years ago. Since then, I haven't really broken down for anything. No matter what's happened. I mean, my dad was, essentially right there on his deathbed almost, with his heart attack that he had a few years
Yeah.
back. And the whole family's crying because they're being told that, we were all being told that there's a very high, risk and chance that he won't come out of this operating room. And everybody's bawling their fucking eyes out. And I'm the one standing there like, okay, so let's wait and see what happens. And then we cry.
Yeah.
And like that was something that even my uncle was like, oh man, something's wrong with you. And I was like, oh, so now I'm getting shit on because now I'm not crying. Like, fuck. Can't win. But
Yeah.
it's okay to, I don't know, man. It's okay to show those emotions.
Yeah.
Fuck society.
Just to reiterate, it's not being weak. It's being strong. No. It's understanding your feelings. You don't have to.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
It's true because with the way we grew up, and for a lot of people, is don't cry
with me.
Don't cry. Don't cry. Shut up. I'll give you something to cry about. So we hold that in. We feel like we've been told by everybody not to cry, not to show that emotion. But it's absolutely valid and necessary to cry. That's one of the strongest things you can do is being and man or woman. Because we got rough and tough cowgirls out there too.
So now they have to be cowgirls, huh?
Well, cow people.
We got rough and tough city folk out there
city
too.
Folks, yes, city folk, cow, urban cowboys and rural cowboys can share their feelings and emotions. It's okay. There's a time and a place for it. Not necessarily anything wrong with crying in your cubicle at work, but maybe wait till you're home in a safe environment where you can let those feelings out. You don't have to have a complete breakdown in a public bus. But hell, if you're feeling it, do it.
and here's one thing I want to say is emotion is emotion.
Yeah.
Be careful how you channel it and how you use it, because it can be dangerous on how it's used. But even if it's not so much crying as you just need to go into your fucking car and just scream.
Yeah.
Roll the windows up, shut the doors, and just fucking yell until your voice is raspy and just get it out of your fucking system. If that's something that, you have that urge to do, go fucking do it. I've done that shit. I try not to punch my fucking dash because it's a company truck, but, unsuccessful. No, I mean, it's even beyond just crying, like just showing emotion and knowing how to channel that emotion is very good for your self-care. It does help minimize angry outbursts, and, bottling it up and fucking keeping it in is the root of all evil when it comes to that shit. Yeah.
And one of the last and one of the biggest ones that I used to always face is stop procrastinating.
I still face it.
It's almost like I used to lie to myself and tell myself that I work better under pressure. It's fun. And I don't know if there's this weird like dopamine rush, adrenaline rush when you put something off for the last minute and you fucking crush it. You're like, see, look at me. All I needed fucking 2 hours. And it kind of like you feed it, that habit feeds itself, and you keep doing it until finally you're met with something that you can't fucking pull off. And that fucking sucks. Because then you're like, oh shit, I would have been really good at this. I could have finished this and done this right. But you get so used to Yeah.
I had that happen literally last week. Because with schoolwork, right? I procrastinate. And with everything going on, I was just kind of like, look, you deserve some time to just relax a little bit. And I kept telling myself that, and I kept procrastinating, and I kept not doing the work that I was supposed to be doing. And I fucked up, right? I didn't fully read the instructions on an assignment that I had coming up. So I was like, yeah, you got a PowerPoint coming up. Like, fuck it, man. It's like 8 slides, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, no, it was like 8 slides for one subject. And you had to cover like 3 different subjects. So the day that it was due, I was sitting there going, I fucked up. You know, it's just like, oh God. You know, I just, yeah. And I had to turn it in late because it was impossible for me to finish that night. You know, I thought it was something that I could just knock out real quick. And that's the other thing, you brought that up, like, you know, and I've done this, and I know I've done this to myself where, like, yeah, I can get this knocked out in 2 hours, or I did knock out a paper, you know?
Yeah.
Wrote fucking 2,000 plus words in 3 hours with good sources and a great paper, and I got 100% on it. Yeah. And I was like, man, I did that in a few hours. Like, fuck it. You know, I don't need to kill myself throughout the week preparing for these things. But at the same time, it's like, why don't I get it done at the beginning of the week? Like, why do I know in my heart that I can get this done in a few hours? And instead of applying those few hours early, I fucking wait till the last day.
I honestly,
I don't understand why I do it.
I think it's part of it is
the challenge.
It's a challenge, and I blame the Army. I 100% blame the Army. I will say this.
Hurry up.
I have gotten so much better about this because it was part of my anxiety problem. And when I was able to go get help, get treatment, I approached not only work, my personal life completely different. And I realized, like, no, like, I'm going to be methodical and look at what I need to accomplish and remove the stress. Like, that's why today I was already prepping for Thanksgiving. I was already doing the prep work for the food because old Denny would wake up at like 3 a.m. the day of and would be baking, cooking, grilling, just doing all this stuff and be like really under the gun and feeling really just so much anxiety. Now I realize that I like hosting Thanksgiving. It's one of my favorite things to do. I love to cook.
I didn't get that invite, but whatever.
You're always invited in my home. Always. But I did everything.
Except this Thanksgiving, because I didn't invite you.
Always. It's open invitation, you know this. But like I'm knocking out all the things I can do 2 days in advance. So that way, on the day of, I can wake up, do my morning workout, do my meditation, and then do all the tiny little things I need to do, and then enjoy the day.
And I can vouch for you. You're committed to shit like that, and I like it because here I was twiddling my thumbs and thinking about what kind of anal play I could do with myself, while you were, stuffing Cornish hens.
Oh, but it's those little things because now, and my wife was awesome, and shout out to my wife because this meant a lot to me. When she came home tonight, she was tired as hell. She came in and she saw everything that I was doing, multiple dishes, friggin' like I do. Not to toot my own horn, but I throw a huge Thanksgiving Day feast, and she saw everything that I was doing. She's like, "You're not even stressed out. I'm really proud of you. Like you know what you need to do to not be stressed out, and you're taking all the time you need to make sure like you're still executing like an amazing meal." And I'm like, "Yep, thank you." Like, Because old me, like I said, I'd be like, oh my God, wake up at 3 a.m. Oh, I got to get all this stuff done in one day. And it would just be so fucking angry and upset and very dramatic, very melodramatic, like Southern Belle. Yeah.
You're predicting my Thursday.
But yeah.
And I'm nervous about this one, because my wife does a lot of it.
Yeah.
It's
easy, man.
She already bought everything, and I'm just like, fuck. Like,
Hey, if worst comes to worst, just remember Chinese restaurants are open, and grab a whole bunch of food.
Oh, we've done that in the past. I don't want to do that again. Pretty bad.
But yeah, developing resiliency in your daily life will take time. And much like exercising your biceps will inevitably result in awesome beach muscles, practicing these steps will make you a master at it. But it's all about practice. It's all about getting your reps in. And you're not going to be perfect every day, but it's not about being perfect. It's about living your life.
No, and part of, even with working out, right? Part of the getting your reps in and getting this going to become better with resiliency, it's going to have failure. There's going to be times where you don't bounce back the way that you thought you should. But as long as you're focused on how can I recover from this? How can I adapt to this change situation? And what can I do to make the best of this situation? Even if you can't figure out a viable solution, just focusing on those points, it ultimately is going to make you better off in the end, no matter what.
Absolutely correct. Well, I think that about covers it for this Mindful Minute segment. You have anything to say before we bow out gracefully, Gregory?
We'll talk about the Mormons later.
Oh, yes, we do.
Yes.
I was accosted by Mormons today, and let us just say that they are not as kind as we were thinking they were. Very violent. They had bonnets on. Wait. Mormons or were they Amish? Anyways, we'll figure this out. We'll figure out which group to... I think there is. They were churning butter. They were outside. We'll figure out who accosted me, and we'll make a very, very wonderful podcast about it. But as always, thank you for stopping by. We love you, all 7 of you in France. Greg, how do you say goodbye in French? Is it arrivederci? Goodbye!